the celebration of the engagement of Gavin Hannelore and Len and Rosa. Um, the idea of like a bachelor party isn't exactly the thing, but there is definitely an idea of like, the groom's party. I think given how close the two weddings are going to be together and stuff like that, um, the ability to kind of take both groomsmen out to or both of the grooms, not groomsmen, out to tie a few drinks down. The Cup of Saint Gregor is where we'd actually opened on Hans at like the very beginning of the story. It's
Oh,
a
it's so
church
fitting.
that it's a previously a church that um is now a drinking establishment. And with the kind of like the start of spring and the melt of snow, they're like lousy with customers after like the White Plague restrictions have been lifted. Like one of the first things a lot of people want to do is go off and like get drunk in a bar with other people. And the Cup of Saint Gregor is particularly sort of um, it was founded by a soldier who just sort of like had enough of like the war over objectionism versus the Vatican and has created a wholly uh heretical place to go and get a few drinks. They were also sort of noteworthy that when the Inquisition was sort of gaining steam in the city, like they were still willing to dunk inquisitors in the rain barrel outside. um, it was, keep your religion at home. So I kind of picked it as a place for Hans to have brought Gavin Len. I hope that's okay. And it's at this point that I want a description of like any kind of games that Hans is putting to Gavin Len beforehand, what the two of them are like when being force-fed drinks until they're smashed. Any kind of like drinking games that you think of are particularly Eisen or Usurin that are played that night. And
Oh, I could have done trivia before this, so you could have told me.
I could and or at least one shenanigan that the both of them are getting up to that night, or all
Oh,
three of them.
Hmm. Len would introduce them to the Asuran game of Coin and Cup, which is a precursor to beer pong, uh, played with full drinks in steins
oh
and
yeah.
more distance, which I think Len would be, with his hand-eye coordination and whatnot, would actually be very, very good at, which is, of course, why he started it. Give himself an advantage through the rest of whatever the else happens.
Um, the I should also add two other particular notes. Every single drink that's in the place is named after a type of prayer, right? So and you order by going into a confessional. The barman's on the other side, and he prescribes you, like three Hail Marys or whatever for like the various sins that you confess.
I remember this. Ah, yes.
But for the other thing that's important for kind of giving this place some character is there is a place that is you technically pay like the equivalent of a copper or a penny or whatnot to have this drink, but more often it's a drink that is a dare. They have a bar that is every time the barman squeezes out his rag, it's into the same barrel. And that barrel is now filled with like months of leftover swill. And so taking a drink from it is something like, I'm not going to enjoy this. I'm probably going to regret it greatly in the morning. But it is sort of a tradition of like, if you can get people drunk enough to like take a drink from this wheelbarrow. And I
Still
think I just
probably
visibly made several people green in describing that. So my apologies. Like, apparently, content warning for dumb alcoholic shenanigans.
Content warning: jungle juice.
Yeah.
still probably better than Malort. And if you know, you know.
Probably.
So
Glory doesn't seem certain. Either way,
All right, so we've got coin and cup from Len. Gav, what do you think are some local street hoodlum drinking games?
Oh, I think there would be more than one game of bones being played. Just sort of dice, a dice game. Um, Gav would probably, oh gosh, I remember he gets really talkative when he's drunk. Um, so I think it would actually, yeah, he'd be going through like a list of games he's learned in the years that he spent on the street, just various stupid things like, over in the playground they play it like this, and but it's different in the Philosopher's Stone because they got actual dice, you know. And yeah, he'd be telling stories. I think Len would start to learn just exactly how many fights Gav has actually been in. Like he's probably thrown hands on every corner in Finer Heart.
I think there's a few members of the Wachtturm that are there to kind of, fill out numbers, make it a proper party, etc. Um, Anybody else that Gav or Len would invite for moral support or whatnot for the evening?
You would invite the Trogots, the two brothers.
Okay. Um, yeah, and the Trogouts are, they kind of they're never people who've been accused in abundance of like really good sense. But they do enjoy getting invited out to parties because they're not on the top of like most people's invite lists. And the shoot, I need to um and fully like an hour into it, like Bruno's like, I have a drinking game. It's like, all right, what do? We put our hand on the table and we take this knife and you gonna jab the knife between your fingers and whoever and on the very first jab fully stabs himself in a finger. Like and to the point where like Tab needs to take him off and like get him to the doctor so that they restitch it.
yeah. Len would actually extend the invitation to both Ettore, just for as much all the assistance that has been given, and it seems like the guy could maybe stand to blow off some low class steam, and Honoриne's seneschal slash landlord,
Waldo.
whatever, Waldo.
Waldo. All right.
He's pretty certain that Waldo at least is going to politely decline while looking as unhorrified as he can mask himself to be. But
So Waldo does ask if he can bring a friend, and his friend is like the landlord that's like on the opposite street of Waldo's. Like
oh
they've
yeah,
been friends for a really long time, and he's kind of like as laid back and chill as Waldo is, sort of like high strung and anxious.
okay.
Right. Like Waldo is like that kind of buddy who like at a party is the one who wants to like bring drinks to other people and be helpful, but
Yeah,
like ends up probably overfeeding alcohol to a few people because
perfect.
he doesn't really take it as his job to be like the judge so much as like the
The
impromptu
enabler.
server of drinks.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, that's those are the people Len's inviting. Uh,
there's like a definite sort of like for Waldo, it's definitely a strange moment to be sort of out with the boys, given how things have been with the Sice to Sice household for the last few weeks.
yep. Yeah, no, he
That's
gets
what
that.
testosterone smells like.
There,
Ugh.
yeah, like he's totally good with like the female energy, but it is, like a change of pace. He's a little like horrified when Bruno stabs himself with a knife, and
Yep.
Tab
Well,
like he does this all the time. Just
that's why we're getting him in at least one game of coin and cup. We got to get Waldo loosened up here a little bit. He can still do the drink thing, but everybody needs to be at, I'm probably going to make at least one poor decision this night levels of intoxicated.
all right. I'm going to make a roll for how he does with coin and cup because I don't He has no relevant skills in a finesse of 2, so an 8. So I think he makes the first coin of the night. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then it misses the second, and from there it's all downhill because each
He's just a
progressive drink
shambles
makes.
because he misses the second, but the first one has finally hit him.
Yeah. So yeah, all right, good.
Tori is a much more skilled partier.
Yeah.
He does show up. He is definitely um like it's clearly one of the ways that he is used to sort of just getting information out of people is going out and drinking with them, but doing less and keeping enough of his like senses about him to just sort of like pick things up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's still also recovering. So because he had been one of the people that caught White Plague and actually had like the attribute and shit like that. And so he does after his first drink, like, my tolerance is not what it was.
Suddenly I
But
am
like
much more efficient at this.
but after the drink is also like pretty cautious about how much further he has. He's very much trained to like have enough to enjoy himself, but not enough to like lose himself.
Yeah.
And
For
very
sure.
good at the kind of like polite deferral or handing a drink to somebody else or that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So, um, so does Hans have a drinking game that he introduces or
I don't know. I feel like most of the stuff has already been covered by Bones from the street because he only really knows soldier drinking games. It's that or like arm wrestling.
There'd probably be some
um
arm wrestling. That much testosterone and alcohol, there's eventually going to be like, I can take you.
There's got to be an arm wrestler too at some point. It's bound to
I
happen.
think I think at one point Pioteer, the huge Usuran, who has been off and on teaching Gav the like Usuran wrestling technique. Um, Gav has seen this man like hug trees in the middle of winter and make it look like he might just pull it out of the ground. Um, he has like both great strength and great tenacity, and he puts a game up where they don't exactly have shot glasses because everything is wood and stuff like that, but like on both sides of the bar they put small glasses that are filled with vodka, and pits Gav and Len on opposite sides of each other, and like the goal is to be the first one to the end of the bar.
Do
And
we have to roll for that, or
you can so
Wait,
what I was thinking that this was going to be was just like a flat resolve roll, although I'm tempted to make it a brawn plus resolve roll and let large factor in.
what about? Well, actually, I have able drinker. Len has able
So
drinker, so he's
so this is about the speed of it. I think like you're not like gonna be, oh, I'm dying from this. Does that
okay.
make sense?
Yeah.
But like there is still a like discipline to doing it fast enough without slowing down, etc.
Okay,
So
that's fair.
so here's how I'm gonna do this. You can use brawn plus resolve or resolve plus brawn and choose which one you keep.
Oh,
Does that make sense? We're basically treating one of the attributes like a skill. If you have large or if you have tough, you're going to get an extra unkept die. And if
okay.
if you have able drinker, you're just not going to have penalties afterwards.
That's what that works. So it's going to be the same keep for me either way, but his Len is very balanced in his stats. 36.
All right. We're waiting for Gav to come in.
Yeah, just a sec here.
No, you got to do the math by hand. You're good.
We're somewhere north of 60. I was rolling 10 keep 6
Whoa.
Is
because
your
it,
brawn
it
a
would
6?
no, I was rolling 11 keep 5. So it
Okay.
becomes 10 keep 6.
That doesn't. Yep.
Damn.
Um, the so Gav is the first to the end of the table. There's, there's hooting and like people, smashing their mugs against the table, like cheering on the whole thing. You know what I'm saying? It is just like, even though it's 36 to 60, it is a relatively close race because 35 plus is still a phenomenal speed for a drinking game. So, like it probably comes down to within a cup or two, but then acknowledging like Gav spilled much less along
That's
the
fair.
way. And the Wakund are very happy to like drink in as much quantity as they can get away with. Hans has kind of like made it known that like nobody has to report to work first thing in the morning the next
Yeah, like
day.
I'll cut you guys some slack tomorrow. It's no big deal. And he like to that point, he's probably taking it a bit easier, just so there is at least one person who can kind of cover the admin stuff
Yeah.
Well,
for them.
and there's kind of like
Just in
there's also like
case.
a whole deal that like is an understood military wisdom is that like the party for everybody else kicks off when the boss leaves.
Mhm.
So there's like a certain point at which it's like it's fine for like Hans and Gav and Len to just exit, to
Yeah.
step out of the party and go back to
Plus, I imagine that this is the first time maybe that Hans is trying to get even remotely ripped when he doesn't have his zombie constitution going on.
it is probably
Yeah.
like that. Like it's probably like something where he's tasting it and feeling it a lot more than like he has before.
He's also this is like the first time he's had time to go out and party in a long time.
Yeah, there's that too.
Hans and
Um,
Hattori holding up the wall on their first drink of the night.
Yeah, Logan does show up near the end of the like evening, and he just sort of discreetly pays for like the tab of the entire bar. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying?
Wow.
Which is quite a bit, you know what I'm saying? But it's like his way of like enjoy yourself, thank you for all you've done, etc. You know what I'm saying? He and
He gets a
he
bro
kind
hug
of
and then
yeah, and
full on Len bro hug.
he gives Hans a hug at one point, and he's like, "I would stay, but it wouldn't be wise for me to be drunk and in your company in public."
You make a solid point.
No, that's
Uh,
why he's not drinking.
yeah,
That's-
it's but like after he pays it off, he buys the next round for everybody, and then he kind of disappears. Um, And yeah, I'm going to take something from what Gav said in the chat. To Hans before he goes, he's like slutty drunk.
He gets a good chuckle, and then Hans will tack on a beer in his honor then,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah, and like for the first time in the history of this particular bar, there is a three cheers to the Iron Prince.
Wow,
Nice.
that's crazy.
It's not exactly a place that has much love for Iron Princes or religion or anything like that. But kind of go out into like the night air is still crisp, but there's still a little bit of like snow here on the ground. There's enough mud for like comic shenanigans just on the walk home. A few people, taking breaks to like hold up walls or, get the sky to stop spinning. Um, and so I was intending this as sort of like a segue into a cold open for Len, but instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to do kind of a similar thing next week for the girls having a night, and not have this be sort of like a thing for any particular player. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's fine.
So, and then we'll go back to the sort of regular cycle, and it'll be
You got lucky this
Lens's
week.
cold open.
I did.
Dodging that
Matrix.
bullet like Neo. Yeah.
Oh god.
Same brain cell.
And I think at one point, let's see, I think Len has probably had the closest relationship to Hattori outside of honoring. And although he is aware that like Len is not necessarily Honoриne's biggest fan.
We have a mutual hate and respect for each other. It's,
um and Ittori, I think there's something that he uh here's what I'm gonna do. Because Len has the able drinker thing, he's not, impaired enough to kind of miss that like Ittori is chewing something on it. Chewing on something and not saying it.
yeah. So he's
So
gonna fall back from the boisterous group and kind of urge Tori back and be like, "All right, bruh, my friend, something is obviously bothering you, and it seems like you want to talk about it, but are hesitant. And I think we're drunk enough to uh, excuse a lot of things if you're feeling uncomfortable. So unburden yourself."
he says there's a cultural convention in Vidachi. He says that anything that is said while two men are drunk, he says, is forgotten in the morning. Sometimes it's just because it's forgotten in the morning.
Don't, I understand the saying. There's wine in truth, but also forgetfulness.
He he smiles at that and he says,
Yes. Deal with it.
I like Honorine. He says, and I know that she is in a lot of like with another. And that person is also my friend. He says, and there are other things that make it hard to be honest with her.
Well, given sort of your line of work, and we have relatively similar line of works, so to speak. I can see how there would be secrets and things. Um, uh, the maiden in question would be the first to tell you that I am not the wisest man, um, or smartest man, or best looking man, or pretty much anything positive. And I respect that horribly shrewish way she has about her. But I would say whatever friendship or relationship you had does not survive the change to I would like to date this person. It has changed and it will continue to change. So you're really only your choices are to bury it all and find someone else, or lay your cards on the line with her and see what she says. And there is heartache and pain possible, even likely in both. But
He's
okay.
he uh he says she was there after I was sick. He
Mhm.
says waiting for me to recover. And it's not the first time that she's been waiting for me to recover. He says, and that's a strange position for me. I have friends, and they've always uh, very good friends. I consider Anjay a great friend. He says, but not caretakers. And that's a strange feeling.
Honorine is very loyal to those she cares about. And yeah, she does have that streak in her if you matter to her. Um, I don't know what to tell you about your previous relationships if that's something entirely new to you, other than I have a feeling they're possibly more tenuous or transactional in nature.
Uh, complicated would be a good word for it.
Complicated too, but I mean, the best advice in the end that I can give you is if you like her and you think there's something there or hope there's something there, yeah, even with her and Anjay doing whatever they're doing, I don't know how they frame their relationship, but you've still just got to just say, hey, this is how I feel. These are the things I appreciate about you. I'm wondering if there is anything here, or say nothing, bury it all, and leave it be.
Uh, yeah, and he looks thoughtful. There's I'm gonna allow a roll here because there was one particular thing that Len had said that I want to see if he picks up that that's kind of the thing that like Ittori locks onto. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a criminal and wits roll, keeping wits.
Yeah. So which role? His Len has never picked up any criminal. I keep meaning to, but there's, always other things that Len needs. So just which role? Does keen senses play into this at all?
No, because it's about the specific phrase, not like the difficulty of detection.
Okay. Four, keep 4. 23.
Okay. I will give him the word, but like no other context, which is that the word that sort of like gets to Ittori is loyal. And that's the one that he's sort of grappling with in the aftermath. But like, there's singing, there's drunken walking, there's, staggering across occasionally muddy street tiles. There's a few unscheduled urination breaks along the way. And then and everybody gets back to their rooms with, uh the relatively appropriate amount of hangover in the morning.
Well,
The one
Len
thing
is a
that
neighbor figure. It's like he's got water. He drinks a lot of it. He puts more water out for future Len, and maybe well, no, probably not future Rosa. He doesn't have had, even if Rosa's having girls' night out, there's not going to be any drinking. So,
sure.
oh wait, this is the times when they didn't really know that was necessarily a bad thing. Kid's gonna come out knowing what Pinot Gris tastes like. That's all right. Well, then, yeah, he's gonna just leave water, leave a bunch of water, strip down, climb into bed. Somebody will be home when they're home, or maybe Rose is already there. Doesn't matter at that point.
I think they're probably going out on a different night.
Oh,
So,
okay. So
so they can have people there ready to greet them when they get home. Hanwar is happy to, kind of like, no, no, Gav, this isn't a bed. I can't get you into bed. Very pregnant with your children.
if
This is a
Hanalor
bench.
wasn't pregnant, I don't think Hanalor could have got him into a bed. You're muted.
I'm imagining Gav passed out on a bench. You can see his foot hanging off the end of of the long side of the bench, and the blanket's just draped on his head.
I think like there's like a moment that like the camera is watching that like Gav is already like passed out and snoring, just like sleeping over like one of the thinner benches that like his arms don't have a place to be on either side, so they're just like dangling onto the ground. And Hanalor tries to like push the bench, and then she goes around, she tries to like pull the bench, and she like loops a rope and tries to like pull the bench that way, and nothing really works. It just like gets like an inch or two of like squeak, and then she's exhausted by the effort. And she just comes back and like lifts his head, puts a pillow under it, drapes a blanket over him, and probably sets some soup down like near the legs of the bench for him to find in the morning.
His hands just like this, just splat on the floor.
They're like, why is my wrist hurt so much in the morning?
Everyone else has done a home thing. I think by the time Hans gets home, after he's made sure the other more intoxicated of his friends have made it all right, I think he gets weirdly serious for a moment, and like he'll go sit out on the balcony with baked goods from earlier in the day or some leftover snack, and just kind of watches over the city for a bit, and he'll either to himself in his however many drinks he's had in that kind of state. He's not sure entirely who he's talking to, but he'll say a prayer, a blessing, something of that ilk over his friends, and he I don't know, gets the inkling as hard to miss as it is that there's gonna be some shit coming up. And these two fine men with children on the way and happy fiancés and whatnot deserve some protection in his mind.
And I think that's a good place to draw the curtain on our cold open, is with Hans kind of looking out, seeing the tower, seeing the city itself, and kind of asking for the protection, the blessing of the creature that he holds in the esteem of a god. Maybe not. I think maybe at this point
Whether
he's aware
correctly
that's
or
not
not.
necessarily,
Yeah.
but he does feel a connection to it as a patron, as a protector.
Even if it's just for his own peace of mind than anything else.
So the so there's no like answer necessarily to his prayer, but there is what comes with prayer, which is sometimes just like a sense of peace that isn't necessarily granted externally. It's the acknowledgement that, like, we don't necessarily have control of all the things in the universe, but we can have faith that things can work out.
I think that's almost what it turns into. It's kind of he starts off very reverent, and as he starts to relax a bit, it almost turns into a bit of a rant or a vent himself about all the stuff that they've had to do, and how, oh man, I hope all this hope we figure this out more than anything else.
Yeah. So dropping the curtain there, let me open my notes.
Place your bets, everyone. Death, slur, or letter.
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to the Shadow of the Wachtturm. Our producer tonight is one of the moderators of Dirty 20 Gaming, the delightful and compassionate Gloriosa. Our lore master for the series is the beautiful and benevolent Syndra. Before we get started, I wanted to give a content warning. While the spirit of Seventh Sea is swashbuckling adventure and shadowy intrigue, the story will deal with mature themes, including death, loss, suicide, and grief. Eisen, our setting, is recovering from a 30-year civil war over religious differences. It may get dark sometimes. There's no shame in bowing out if it's not a place your head can go at the moment. So without further ado, I'm going to have our savvy swashbucklers introduce themselves. And I think we'll go in drunken order. So we'll do Hans first. And
Hey, everybody. My name's Rory. You've seen me here before. You know who I am. I play everyone's favorite, hopefully, sprinting, slashing soldier boy.
you!
Hans Reifenstahl tonight. I'm present in a few other fun and awesome games on this wonderful Twitch channel. You can find me in the... God, I brain farted on the terminology of it for Pandora's Gifts. The Nightcast, which is the evening game of the two on that day. We've got one
Moon?
kind of... The Mooncast, yes. Yeah. Yes, we have the Sun and the Moon cast. We have daytime and nighttime casts, so more people can see the crazy story. Two parties, the same story, and it's wildly different. I play a very small rogue named Esker, and that one it's run by our the incredible channel Father Kevin, one of his wonderful gem from his particular brain. You can find me on Tuesdays here as well, playing Ashik in Rise of the Temple, the cat monk of a pair of them in the True Shadowmancer, or Shadow's incredible many years running homebrew world. And you can also find me in Oracle Force every other Wednesday next week. My calculations are correct. Playing Graviton, gravity superpowered edgy teenage superhero mess a little bit. Tune into all the games. We do a lot of cool stuff. And as usual, that's about it. I keep making plans I never follow through on. So yeah. Who's next on the drunk list? Who's the next drunk? Is it Len? Who's next up?
Yeah, sure, why not? Hey,
It
folks,
is now.
it is now. It's me, Bat Kyle, your friendly neighborhood menace. You can find me today playing Len Costin. He's all got a lot of different titles I like to use, but I'm not using any of them this time, so I'm not predictable. You can find me on Fridays running Everyday Divinity, the Scion Second Edition, far more horror and oddly chunky game that everybody loves. And then you can find me in various chats of mentioned games being a menace, on the Discord being a menace, and other Twitch chats being a menace, just generally being a menace. And so that's over to Gav.
That would be me. Hi. I am Bison_Stonefist. I'm a regular on this channel. I've been here a long time. Damn near died to stay here. I am here 3.5 nights a week. Tonight I am playing Gav the Grin, or should I say Gav the Groom? I'll go with that. Gav the Groom. I've been sitting on that one for a while. He is our lovable hugger of trees and smasher of faces, and just a lot nicer than that description actually sounds. On Mondays for the Pandora's Gift Suncast, I play Bofades Caridia, our humbled servant of Hephaestus. He came into the campaign a boisterous, almost cruel cleric, and he's been browbeaten like 3 times now. So he's been served a bit of the humble pie. Every other Wednesday, I am in The Humbled Heart, which is a Humblewood campaign run by our very own Hellhounds 20. It is the whimsical show of the week. It's very cute. We all play anthropomorphized forest creatures trying to save our home from a semi-intelligent forest fire. I am a caribou in charge of a skunk and I think 3 crows now. Oh, and a pigeon. No, it's only 2 crows. One of them left. We have an attempted murder again. It's like one part Redwall, one part I don't know. I lost the plot there. Anyways, Thursdays, speaking of lost the plot, Thursdays is Deviant Paradox. That is a City of Mist campaign. It is our CW show of the week. It's a lot of interpersonal drama and relationships and polycules, and nobody knows what the fuck is going on except for the director, who is Sarah. And I'm going to make her go next. It's your title. It's your title in Zoom. It says the director.
No, it's
Oh,
narrator.
no, that's right. You changed it once or twice. That's what it
narrator.
was.
It has been narrator for a very long time. I've never put in director.
You did actually the one time.
I did
but
it once.
that was to fuck with us, which she does a lot.
Yep. Okay. So hey y'all, my name is Sarah. I go by Sans on the Discord. I can't tell if I'm glitching or not right now. I'm on this channel 5.5 nights a week. I am here tonight as Rosa Nix. I need to talk to my sister. On Monday, Pandora's Gift Mooncast, I play Clary Pass, the best healer ever, not a necromancer. And that's a lot of fun because she is a necromancer. Tuesday, Rise of the Temple, our wonderful shadows, amazing homebrew world. I play Aiko of House Wolf, who she is actually a bard. Trust me. Wednesday game, Mask Oracle Force, I play Nightwish. They kept me as leader for some reason. Our Thursday game, City Mist, Demon Paradox, I am the DM of the Chaos. Yes, I do know what's actually happening. And our Friday game, Everyday Divinity, Scion, I play Alexandria Melanoe. I think I said it right. Yeah, this can't get any fucking worse.
I don't know. That cow could say extra chunky a few more times.
Other than that, you can find me over on Tango Productions working with these card adventurer rock paper fox. Stuff and things that'll come out eventually. And I'm gonna give it over to Glory because she looks so upset.
Why would I be upset? Why would I be upset, y'all? Why? There's no reason. Hi, I'm Blaze Gloriosa, better known around here as Glory. I do produce on this channel 2 nights a week. On alternate Wednesdays for our Masks Oracle Force, or a Masks A New Generation game Oracle Force. Next session is on the 24th, next week. On Thursdays for our City of Mist campaign, Deviant Paradox. I feel like I have a description of Oracle Force that I don't like repeat when everyone is doing all of their introductions, but it still is watching teenage superheroes make bad decisions and then blame each other. Like, it really, I could not sum up that game any better. So I'm gonna keep saying that. Thursday, City of Mist campaign, what the fuck is the subtitle of that one. You can catch me in front of the camera 1 night a week on my own channel, streaming. I still have Grounded in here and I keep forgetting to change it. It's actually Graveyard Keeper. We continue the quest to actually finish the game, which is not something I usually do. I usually get bored before I like finish a game, and I'm trying to stick with this one. Trying real hard. Tonight I am here as Honorine, willing to go with the tangent, which makes me the caboose of the derail. Cease deuces. So that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, there's nothing else I want to add to that. So I think it's time for Ruth.
Hi, I'm Ruth. You found me. I am here on Monday in the Pandora's Gift Suncast as Xenon Al-Qaedis, Cleric of Nyx. Tuesdays in Rise of the Temple as the aforementioned other half of our cat twin monks. Alternate Wednesdays in our Oracle Force game as Trek. Ball of Anxiety. If she's anything to the group, that's what she is. And the car. Thursdays as Nora Avalon in Deviant Paradox. Fridays as Juliet Fairchild in Everyday Divinity. And today as Rena Ingvild's daughter. That's all from me. And I believe it's back to our storyteller.
We haven't done backhoe, have we?
Wow, you don't have your meds. We did the
Yeah, I
whole
really
thing
don't.
where
Yeah.
we like completely like had my wife do the Y at the screen thing that you then played off of later.
Yeah, you're right. No,
Yep.
no, this is why meds are important. In case the audience is not caught on, I am out of Adderall, so this is going to be an interesting session. All right. I am Siosa. I'm here 1 night a week, running the Shadow of the Wachtturm. And unfortunately, my work schedule doesn't really allow me to do any more than that. I will occasionally hop into a short game or a one-shot where I can, but yeah, this is about what I can do at the moment. So let me get started here. In the ancient days of Numa, the great storyteller and philosopher Ceres the Wiser once noted that adventure can only begin in one of 3 ways: by death, by slur, or by letter. To begin without one of these incitements is folly, a debacle best described as an indiscretion, a dalliance, or an escapade. But fear not, we begin tonight properly girded with the letter, the most seductive of the 3, and thus the most powerful. And the letter tonight is the same call that has gone out to the council several times, wherein everybody is, invited to a meeting of the council, except this time it is not sent by one another, as has most often been the case. It is sent by Wilma and Logan. And there's some presumption on my part, mostly that Gab has at least kind of informed them about what he's learned about the invasion of Montaigne and also like Hosen. So, which bears enough that they want to be looped into whatever conversations are being had. So it's still, early afternoon when it's called for. So those who had a night drinking are probably a little bit better off than they were at the end of the evening.
Yeah.
That morning, I don't know. Rosa said needs to talk to her sister, and I'm not sure how urgent that was, but I'm just reminding our wonderful GM that that was said. Just FYI.
So let's kind of assume that like while Len and Gavin Hans are, in their beds, um that Rosa has shown up at Honorin's or Honorin has showed up at Rosa's, whichever feels more natural, um for said conversation. And then we can cut to the opening of the meeting.
Rosa would be weirdly nervous.
Okay, so I think it's the morning, she's not looking after Atori anymore. So I think she did probably go visit Rosa to see like how she's doing, because she probably does do that, contrary to what some people might think. So she probably like dropped by with like croissants or something and picked up the vibe,
Mm-hmm.
and eventually like
Because immediately once Honorine shows up, Rosa is like, "Oh shit! I'm supposed to ask her to be my maid of honor, matron of honor." Ah.
Oh, I forgot that
Honorine-
that's the conversation. Hang on, I retroed.
That's the
it.
conversation.
No, I take it back. So like in the middle of like buttering a croissant or something, she probably kind of pauses and is like, "Are you feeling all right?"
The oh god, my brain just died. The seamstress. I asked to do my dress
Yes.
after. Yes, Stella. After. I remember her name. I couldn't remember what her job was. After she informed me of there are things that I need to do for the wedding that I don't know how to do because I don't know weddings.
Oh. Are you concerned about
One
it?
of which is have a maid of honor. And I was hoping you would be that for me.
And I think what goes through Honorin's head right now is that in Montaigne, the role of maid of honor is probably a full-time job that requires like 3 assistants for someone, in the noble family or whatever. In the noble family, in a noble family, there is more than one in Montaigne, presumably. Yeah. Just gonna make a Scott joke, and I probably shouldn't do that. So I think she like, when Rosa says those words, she probably like gets almost exactly the reaction that I assume she's expecting, which is Honorine just kind of like freezes and is like, "Oh God." Like not out loud, but like the look on her face is very like, "Oh God."
If it is one of like almost dread, that is exactly what she thinks this is.
It could be interpreted that way. I don't think it's exactly dread. I think she's just like, "Oh wow, that's really big. That's big. Wow. Oh."
I was worried that it was, and if it's too much, just please let me know. Like I don't know how much is actually involved in this. The weddings I saw were for Delhi, and they were just very simple. You just got married and then you drank and ate and partied until you could no longer see straight.
I I mean, that sounds very different from like what I'm used to.
And since that's all I really know, and Della was telling me how there was more to it, and that I needed a maid of honor, and you were the person I thought of.
You can actually see on Honorine's face the like initial clench. You can kind of see it ease, and you can kind of watch in real time as she realizes that it's not a burden that Rosa is trying to put on her, that it's a burden Rosa's worried that is being put on her, but that it's actually a nice thing, like an ask for help. And so you can kind of watch her expression like kind of like soften in real time there with the realization. I would be delighted to help you in any way that you will have my help. Actually. And I'm honored that you would ask me to be your maid of honor, which is actually why it's called that. It's someone that means a lot to you and that you trust. Someone that is supposed to take some of the planning and detail from you so that you don't have to worry quite so much all the time. At least that's how it is in Montaigne.
I guess I believe that's what it is. I'm not entirely sure.
No, that is what it is.
But I do want you standing by my side.
That's really nice. I think that's one of the nicest things you've said to me.
And Rosa's just gonna hug her.
Oh, okay. Still not great at hugs. Okay. Oh, we're. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, I love you too.
We'll have to ask Runa to be, I believe she said, a bridesmaid.
I think she would like that. You should have Brandy carry flowers for you.
Oh, that would be very cute. Do you think Onolo would want to be one of the bridesmaids?
Yes.
I don't actually know if how much Rosa has interacted with Anna. I don't remember how much they've interacted.
I think she talked to her a little bit after, like, kind of about like, um, I seem to recall them having a conversation before the war, where she was kind of like leaning on Runa for like, you know what it's like to lead, you know what I'm saying, and talking to Rosa a bit more about like her experience as a noblewoman and stuff like that, because, or not as like a noblewoman, but like because she didn't really know how to be a noblewoman. Does that make sense? Um, so I think, and I think there's probably been a lot of times that might have been off camera that like Rosa has gone to Runa and like Anna has been over there. When so
So then,
it's completely up to you if she's like had a distance, that's totally fine. You know what I'm saying? But there is the
oh
opportunity to say
no,
they're at least like familiar with each other by virtue of everything and all of this. So
yeah. But she's trying to make a bridesmaids group, effectively.
the other person that she might want there is Wilma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Honorine
Given their past relationship. So
and
Yeah.
Honorine will actually bring up, because that is a good segue to what I was about to actually say. Like, as you're putting together your wedding party, I'm actually a little surprised that you didn't ask Wilma to be your maid of honor. I'm pretty sure she would enjoy being in the bride's party.
I consider her more of my mother, and I didn't know if that was normal for a mother of the bride to be a bridesmaid?
Are you?
You can hear there's just pure confusion. She does not know any of these traditions.
I think it's reasonable that she could also ask Wilma to give her away.
Yeah, I think that's what she wants to do.
So Honorane's going to kind of clasp like Rosa, like kind of take her hands. Like she can see that Rosa's like a little bit twisted up about this. And she's going to kind of take her hands and like squeeze them and be like, it's your wedding. And you are in a city where tradition isn't hallowed the way it is in other places. So you get to decide what it looks like. And I know that decisions are a little scary for you sometimes, but I think you can work with your husband to be and make it a very meaningful thing for both of you without feeling overwhelmed by obligations or roles or titles.
And this is why I wanted you next by my side.
I think that Wilma would be more than happy to have a role in the wedding, and she may actually have some shrewd suggestions as to how she can participate or how she would like to participate.
Agreed. We'll have to talk to her soon.
There's a meeting this afternoon. We can talk to her after.
Yes. I
Are
fear we're
the-
going to have to.
Are the men back yet? Are they awake yet?
I don't know if they're awake. I know they are back.
You can hear a bear like snoring in the other room.
Well, I'm not one to poke the bear, but it's probably time soon. That means I'm gonna go.
He probably best.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. She's gonna like kind of give Rosa a little bit of a hug again, and then like squeeze her hands as she pulls away. Like, I'm very happy for you.
When it's your turn, whether it be Anjay, Logan, or anyone else.
Fischler, not Logan.
Not Logan. Logan Fischler?
No.
Falk,
Oh,
Falk
fuck.
Fischler.
Logan is our
Yeah, I got the wrong name.
the one that's currently macking on Hans. That
I was
would
like-
make things very awkward.
Fischler, sorry. I meant his first name and I thought it was Logan.
You said Logan, and I was willing to go
And
with it, but that was the reason for the look on my face.
I mean,
Correct me on character names, guys.
It's all good.
There are too
there's-
many NPCs here.
there's only a list like 200 long of like, NPCs that are in the game.
Yep.
So.
Well, and I didn't realize who you meant. Otherwise, I would have. I was just
I was-
complete confusion.
I caught it.
I am Jack's
I'm
complete
Bring back
confusion here.
King. Was like, King. It's one of the kings.
Yeah. Whether it's Anjay,
Or
Falk, or what
Falk.
else? Or
Or-
someone else.
or anyone else.
What was the rest of the sentence?
Where I got blindsided. Shit. What were you gonna say, Rosa?
When it's her time.
Oh,
Yeah. When
Thank
it's
you, Bison.
Fine.
it's Honorine's time. I hope I am able to help you however I can.
I have a massive family that has already called dibs on helping. So I would not get in their way if I were you, but I will definitely come to you to talk about it.
I do not plan to get in anyone's way, but
That's good because Cousin Solange has a mean hip check.
I I have seen these C2Cs get uppity about card games. I do not need to see them get uppity about a wedding.
Enthusiastic.
You've seen sissies do sissies women get ready to like get into a fist fight over basically games of hacky sack. There's this particular like courtly game that is basically hacky sack, but it's done in like full court dresses and stuff like that. They're very competitive about it for no apparent reason at all.
I imagine Monopoly
the
would draw
honor.
blood.
In this house, we
Monopoly
just,
happens to be my favorite game. Just putting that out there.
Sorry.
There's just gonna like this is just sort of like a cutaway before we actually go to the actual meeting with everybody, of like the kind of, you know, in the Montaigne families, as alluded, it's definitely like an honor to be part of like the wedding party and the planning and the organization and stuff like that, to the point where it's like the one thing they kind of start doing with almost immediate military efficiency. Like, Genevieve is one of the most like no nonsense, get things done kind of like size to size with the family. You know what I'm saying? And her immediate thing is to work with Honorine to kind of like assign specific duties within the family. It's like you're earning brownie points for like depending on how important your role is, whether you're in charge of like banners or flowers, transportation, or, you know, there are some people that are like getting their first chance up to plate and they're excited and nervous about it. It's the entire family is talking about it for most of the day.
Honorine's gonna make herself scarce before the bear wakes up.
But we'll cut to, so this meeting is not actually being held at the Bear House. It's being held at the City Hall in the sort of private room that they've met at a few times, although it doesn't have the same protection that like the Bear House does because of Runa's magic. But Wilma has made all the like due process of like she's expecting it to be there. There's food that's been set out. Whether word of the rowdiness at the Cup of St. Gregor got around or not, many of the food seem to be like the kind of good hungover meals, you know. But to be fair, much of Eisen food is like that already.
I was gonna say that's just most of their cuisine.
Yeah, there's a lot of bread and sausages, and you know,
Medieval Waffle House.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Cup of St. Gregor definitely comes close to the medieval Waffle House vibe anyway. So, but when they get there, like food is being set out, they aren't going for the sort of like fanciest things that they would put out for the nobility they're more about presentation. This is more like we want to make sure there's something within arm's reach while we have some serious discussions. So Logan is probably arriving with Hans and fairly early, aware that there's quite a few things at the docket, so to speak, to discuss.
Hungover or not, soldiers wake up early.
Yeah, the other soldiers are all
Yeah.
He can hear the snoring as he's like making his way out, like, oh, this still feels too early, but
Evidently they did continue once their boss left.
They did. It's a requirement, you know.
Oh,
Plus they had free drinks waiting because of Logan, so and I, you know, I frequently kind of have like different cuts to like what people are doing in the way and stuff like that, but I kind of want to assume that like people are getting there fairly reasonably close together. The one person I want to check in is so like Runa, you know, she wasn't out with the drinking. I think she's still sort of a little bit in like the aftermath of grief and everything like that. But Jera has been like over at her place frequently, just sort of like finding things to do with her hands.
7 women in that house right now. 6.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's
2 moms, sister-ish, kid.
7.
Yeah.
Runa, Sora, Ingvild, Gris, Brandy. 6. It's a full
Yeah.
house.
Yeah,
Ingvild is now
it's
sharing a room with Brandy.
yeah, I
Just
think
while
there's
Jira is over, unless she's staying permanently.
no, I think she's just sort of coming over a lot. You know, she shared the house and the shop with her brother. And it's just sort of she's in a place where it's like hard to be there. But when there's like, you know, the letter comes and she's got work to do, uh, she looks like she's gonna be heading out to find something to get into. So, um, although she does kind of apologize, she's like, "Would you be all right?" And she says, "You, um, I, I'm acting on the presumption that she knows about the revenge and like where it's at the moment as a shipbuilder, because it's currently being stored with Girl. Um, and she says, would it be all right if Ingvild and I went over there to do maintenance, knock the barnacles off, make sure it's in good repair? What would you want to be there for?"
Just make sure it's not seen.
She's kind of nods. She says, "Yeah, I don't intend to bring it out of dock."
It's fine with me.
Says, "But it's the first time the water's warm enough that I wouldn't mind swimming under the boat."
Go for it. Keep yourself busy.
And she kind of embraces her and gives her a kiss on the cheek. And with that, we kind of cut to everybody arriving. City Hall's a little bit abnormal for, you know, where they meet. They don't have their murder board present. So the and Logan and Wilma are both there greeting everybody. Everybody gets to seats. Logan sits at the head of the table with Wilma kind of nearby. And Logan looks at Gabby, says, "You have the majority of the information that um, I was hoping that we could discuss, but there are two pieces that I quickly wanted to go over. One is that Montague has given me notice that he intends to leave for Montaigne within the next week. Um, as quickly as they can pack up camp and get going. There are a few members of the army who have decided that they are not interested in returning to Montaigne. They'll be remaining in the city, but the number is a much smaller fraction than I expected. Um, he says, secondarily, I have received request from Folk Fischler. Their scouts have seen that Siegler is amassing his forces directly across from the border, and they're expecting an invasion as soon as they are prepared to do so. He says Fischler has an enormous militia, a large number of able-bodied men willing to come to the defense, but he has not much of a standing army. People willing to defend his realm, but he's not looking to invade anywhere else. This may well be the best opportunity we have to stop my father.
Yeah, just about.
He says, especially in light of some of the news that I've turned to Gav now.
Now Gav doesn't 100% remember the source of the information because the player doesn't remember. I think it was the Explorer Society, correct?
There was some confirmation being done by the Explorer Society. The initial thing was from Felix, just saying we've got guys coming over from Posen Lands, kids coming over from Posen Lands. Then they followed up. The Explorer Society provided a bit more.
Yeah, and so yeah, Gav sort of relays that Posen's army is starving and that the people are in open revolt against her. It sounds like the peace negotiation or the peace offer was legitimate, barring this weakness that we weren't supposed to know about.
I
So
suppose I
she is
should
desperate
probably.
now.
Yeah, I was gonna say I should probably head over there and try and verify. Unless we have some effective agents who can take care of that.
It's like, well, Felix gave me this information as a result of there being children coming from Posen to Freiburg, like refugees. And through the course, I asked members of the Explorers Society to share what they have learned, and that is the confirmation they have.
Okay. Oh, good. Then I don't feel a pressing need to go myself. If it seems like we have confirmation that she's too busy dealing with a revolt and starving citizenry to trouble us.
And it could very well be the only chance we have to take out Eric.
Yeah.
His families.
Wilma says, as far as Posen is concerned, the math speaks for itself. We have estimates of the number of soldiers she raised, which means we know the number of farmers that were pulled from their lands to fight. By my estimate, Posen allowed 20% of her population to remain on the farms to collect harvests that would have required the sum of her population, meaning they collected 20% of the food they would have needed to survive the winter.
I have to say, I thought she was some sort of brilliant tactician. This seems like the sort of math you would do before you strip your farms bare. Was she expecting to? Oh, I imagine she was expecting to use that 10 million gold or 10 million gilder to buy what she needed.
I actually think
taking
that
money.
was her only option based on the number of the troops that she's raised and maintained as a standing army.
Oh,
That she had driven herself into enough debt doing so that she needed the money to both get out of it and to survive the coming winter intact. And that by virtue of Montague's reputation and the fact that she did not know exactly how many of his soldiers would be returning with him, he departed to Usura with nearly 500,000 troops. He returned with significantly less, but the exact amount would be unknown. So she levied her entire army on the assumption that Montague's reputation was real and deserving of consideration, and that he might have a considerably larger amount of forces with him when he returned.
I don't suppose we could convince her to try and rally her people and hit the Elder Seeger while we also hit him. And possibly Falk could offer some of his crops, since they're the breadbasket, to help feed her people.
Probably
I have.
recalling history, they were on opposite sides, right?
Oh, they
Yeah.
were. Shit.
Seeger, like Posen really dislikes Seeger. They've both made that clear like a few times. And Wilma, she says, I have two considerations in regard to that plan. One is, do we trust Posen to keep her word, especially if she knows that we are moving our armies elsewhere?
Oh, no, I did not trust her word at all.
Logan says, I'm in disagreement on that. I actually believe that she will keep her word. I think at the end of everything, she is most concerned with maintaining Posen. And so the opportunity to successfully feed her people and put down rebellion and remain in power will compel her to keep her word.
She does truly believe that she is the best to rule.
She has no choice. Realistically, her goal is to endure by any means necessary. If that means allying with one enemy to take down a greater enemy and overall reduce the nation's chance of resisting her, in addition to feeding a dying population to maintain her own province, what I So I can assume of her psyche, she would have no choice. It would
And
be
the
either
citizens continue to suffer under her evidently poor rule.
people, the more people start, the more people will fight back, and the higher the chances her entire territory goes to shit. And then there's no more Posen, and I mean, she is following
Um,
that theory, potentially even executed by her own people, which would probably be the most humiliating end she can think of.
It would also only add to the chaos that's been sweeping across the everywhere.
Yeah. You have
You have a point. I worry about the people, though. They were the ones who suffered the most because of her actions.
They'll suffer more if she falls.
It's possible they may not even give her a chance. If they hear they're to be deployed somewhere else, that may be the last straw. Who knows?
Well, if they
Well-
know that they're being deployed, but will be getting food from another Iron Prince for that deployment, guaranteed food when you're starving is one of the best lures there is.
Yeah, yeah.
Wilma
Yeah, good point.
looks towards Rosa and she says, "You had the opportunity to meet her while she was here, yes?"
It was Runa.
Runa.
She says, "You never got a chance to look at her card?"
I thought Rosa looked at all of the prince's cards.
Player doesn't remember. Rosa would.
No, that's fine. So because I think they were all present in the same room, and I think Rosa got the opportunity to look at them all at that point.
Very fast.
So I was just looking this up.
If your note taker was a little bit more on the ball, you'd have the notes.
Well, it's I need what the actual card is, as opposed to what the Hubris or Virtue is. So here we go.
You should fire your note taker.
No, the note taker is awesome.
So her card is the inverted sun, which is pride. Which means that her ultimate hubris is
Her own pride.
yeah. But how that would play out in this particular situation is, sort of a question. I'm going to read the description of what pride is, which is that the GM can activate it in order to get them to refuse an offer of aid.
So if we make it sound more like we're hiring her, then
And
offering
paying.
aid.
Or that we need her.
And Wilma kind of points out, or we consider her offer of marriage. And she looks to Hans. Like, she says, I will not force that upon anyone, but I think if she felt that her own offer was being accepted and that there were contingencies upon it,
You would
These
have
are-
to be telling the truth.
It is a powerful bargaining chip, to be sure. I do not know if we would have to be telling the entirety of the truth.
No, it would be a very bad idea in the long run to not be telling the truth in something like that.
Agreed.
This is still Posen we're talking about.
can you say that again? That was a little quiet for me.
This is still Posen we're talking about.
Yeah. But as of now, a weakened person, vulnerable, desperate, perhaps. Who knows?
Honorine looks at Logan and what are the chances that this is a feint? on the part of your father. A misdirection. He's not always the most straightforward man.
Logan kind of rises, and he moves over to like one of the cabinets, and he takes down like candle holders and starts to sort of array them on the table in like a map in his mind. You know what I'm saying? Of like, here's Fischler lands, here's, like, putting down like small objects to represent the different towns. It's something that like Hans has very much seen before. Like many Iron Princes would have dedicated rooms to like, this is where every single army is based on, my scouts reports and stuff like that. And I'm switching over to the map of Eisen real quick. So, he says if he gets through the border of Fischler lands, he would immediately be making his way to Tannen to subdue the population there. If he were to try to misdirect, he would have to go around the lake, around Fischler's largest lake, skirt the borders of the Black Forest, and push into Siefer. He needs to control both of those towns to control the province. And from there, he has a march through Heelgrund. There's no force there that can resist him. And through Heelgrund, he's directly at Freiburg. I don't think he intends to take on Posen directly. It's possible he may move into Wish territory, and leave Freiburg for last. Freiburg is a large city. It would be easier to take with a siege than it would with a direct assault. And he has the advantage of coming from land, whereas Posen has to cross a river.
And he also he's already in Heinzel, so he could easily come up across the more plains lands than through like the forests. He would still have to cross river over there, but
He says there are a number of well-built bridges on the southern side of Siefer's river. They would be a great effort and a loss to destroy for the purpose of holding Fischler. That doesn't mean that Falk isn't capable of it, but regardless, he would probably be able to loot an enormous amount of food from taking Tannen. It says, here's my uncertainty. He says, my father has an army of Vadachi, and as the news of that spreads, he's going to get the same kind of resistance he's getting in Fischler, where every troop doesn't want to be conquered by a proxy of the Vadachi people. Says some of Eisen's proudest history, the formation of Eisen itself, was in response to rejecting the armies of Numa and pushing them back. And, he says, with that said, there are 3 major battles that he has to win. One of them against Fischler, which he probably didn't consider to be a serious trouble until he saw the size of the militia that Fischler was actually capable of bringing to bear. Militias tend to disintegrate when they're actually called up to action. He says Fischler's have not. They've been loyal and true. They're ready to fight behind him. He has to fight Posen, and he has to fight us. The easiest way to fight against us is through a siege, but we've shown ourselves to have more military prowess than he expects, and I don't know if his army is large enough to weather all 3 of those fights. I think his intention is to try for 2 of 3 and see if he can convince the last to surrender.
And either way, Fischler is number one.
He says there's no way around that. There's no deceit that he could practice. And if he tried to go up into the mountains, cross into Montaigne or into Sura, he'd lose more troops than it's worth. He'd certainly lose the ability to win 3 out of 3 of those battles. It says, so it's not that I don't think my father is incapable of a ruse. I think there's just not one to get him out of the logistics of the situation.
There's not a play to be had.
Yeah. He needs the food regardless.
The most that's in play right now is the possibility that he could persuade Wish to turn on one of its neighbors, us or Posen. But even that is, their army is not, it hasn't been paid in months. Seeger might offer payment, but that isn't going to encourage them to throw themselves into battle. And I don't know if he has the treasury to do it.
So we've got one potential army that could be paid in food, and the knowledge that Seeger is most likely coming after them anyway. Another that could be paid probably also in food at this point, or as Wish, if they're not getting paid, if they don't have a lot of food, that's a lot of soldiers who also need something to do.
It's possible we could rally them against Seeger.
They were in shambles when we last looked at what was going on with them, weren't they?
It says it might be to our advantage to send a delegate to Wish Lands to get a proper assessment of the situation there.
So saying whether the winter so far in the disarray they were already in.
And he kind of he looks around the table and his eyes kind of like he looks at Rosa with as pregnant as she is, like I don't want to send her, to Wish Lands like on this, you know what I'm saying? And he settles on Runa. He says, you can take the river most of the way to Wish Lands. Says you'd be a good representative. You have a mind that would understand the military dangers, and I think you have it in you to handle the diplomacy of it. Would you be willing to travel on our behalf and see if it's possible to recruit the guards there?
Yes.
He says, I would carry letters authorizing you to enter into a defensive alliance with them. Says, bearing my seal so they would know that it came from me.
All right.
He says, secondarily, we have Posen. And he looks to Hans. He says, is marriage on the table? This is your life, your future. I will not begrudge if you turn it down.
My sole apprehension is the potential of an ascension on her part. If she were to have some unfortunate thing to happen to me, Posen inherits, like, instinctually looks around and there's like, oh yeah, right. Posen inherits the crown.
He says,
I have obviously no children. Either that or it would be a squabble between her and my sister.
He says, if something were to happen to you, he says, legally, the crown would move to your sister unless you had heirs together. At which point it would default to your heir instead of her. It would be appropriate for her to be able to claim a role as regent until a child is of age. And it's not like murder has been done with less. He says, but he says, until she bore you a child, there wouldn't be an option. The crown would simply pass to the next in line, which is your sister.
That is good at least. Not that much for this complicated bullshit, anyways.
So are you at least feeling up to
It
being the envoy for Posen and seeing what's going on there while you feel out the marriage?
It is an option, yeah. I mean, it is.
I
She has
thi- I
handed
thi-
us an extremely strategic bargaining chip one way or another. Anyways, it would be foolish to waste any opportunities to at least use that as a sort of free pass into Posen under the banner of negotiations, diplomacy, discussion, whatever have you.
Speaking of
nuts.
Anna, I think that Anna should go with Runa. She needs to be learning from her anyway.
It's a good point, good practice for her.
I'd be happy to take her with me.
I think she'd be safe with you, as safe as she could be.
Just
wouldn't-
make sure when you return there, Brother Hans, that you remain outside of artillery fire, remembering what they friggin' did the last time there was peace talks.
I would not let a thing happen to Anna.
You have my full trust. I hers as well. At least from what I have heard of you and your training. And
I'd hope so.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Is
going
it-
to Fischlerlands.
He nods. He says, I would like, with Hans's cooperation, for at least a portion of the Wachtturm to travel with you.
well,
We intend to offer aid to Fischler regardless. They have fed us. I intend for our armies to support theirs. I know that sending some of it at the moment might make us open to an attack from Posen, but I can't believe that she would try to take this opportunity to attack Freiburg. She's not in a position to do so. She might take Freiburg at the cost of Posen, and I can't see her making that decision.
if anything, yeah, Fischler is our strongest ally. He needs support. Yeah. It's a good call.
What I don't understand is what Seeger's end goal would be after it would cost him so much to win everything he needed to win that there's no real way he would hold all of Eisen.
He says, perhaps we should be sending somebody to speak to Seeger.
Honoring looks around the room to see if anyone volunteers.
Gav's like,
No, hands down. Len
He's
is
about to-
immediately
he says, actually, he says, his army is Vidachi. He says, a core tenet of Vidachi honor is to not bring harm to a woman. If even the slightest harm were to come to Rosa, he would lose the support of his entire army.
then I'm going with her.
He nods. He says, I think that's quite reasonable.
I will piss in that man's shoes.
He kind of
Cat thing.
he has like a little bit of like an odd
Pretty
look
quick cat pranks.
of like looks to Rosa like, has he been spending a lot of time in but doesn't actually ask it out loud. He says that Gav, I will need at least one member of the council here during all of this.
That does leave Gav.
and with I cannot remember her name, the chick that just went bussin'.
Lilith.
Lilith, thank you. And with Lilith's unfortunate removal from the assembly, there are votes to be made and considerations to be met, and yes, it's so much easier when I didn't know how to read.
Rosa will even pipe up because she's been relatively quiet this whole time, and she goes, "Your wife to be is very, very pregnant and expecting, and probably due any bloody day."
Duh.
I
And just
Fischler,
sort of
and Logan looks a little bit guiltily towards Rosa. He's like, I will make sure that a very comfortable carriage is prepared for you for the trip.
Wait, what the fuck? Where did the quack come from? Who was
That's from
that?
Len. From back out. Or, was it?
Nope.
I just got a text message.
Oh,
It's
Well,
fantastic.
guys, like, are you sure you can't send me to war? This whole kids thing has me very worried. I would much rather be punching people with my metal hand. I don't know how to change diapers.
Honorine looks over at Len and Rosa and kind of very seriously, because that's how she does most things now, I guess, tells them if Seeker's army moves toward Fischler, I am going to rain down fire on them. So you best make sure you're not in the way. Please.
And I'll enjoy warming myself by it.
I'm going to ask Fischler where he would like to direct the food stores that make such a great bargaining chip for him, and make sure it's not easy for Seeker to roll in if he decides to do so anyway.
Logan, he looks like he relaxes a little bit, kind of like now that there are plans that are settled, and
she kind of squeezes his shoulder a little bit.
And he looks to Len and he says, "You mentioned that you had something about one of the members of the assembly to discuss."
Oh yes, can't necessarily be corruption when there's not really laws, but he lays out everything that he discovered in his investigative journalism side hustle that's kind of come up, and about the bribing and where things were going, and then the buying of yet another assembly member, and just kind of laying it out like, if there's going to be laws, there need to be some laws around this whole assembly thing, or it's just going to be more of the haves are going to throw their money around and take more from the have little or have nots.
He and Rosa, this is all, about Tovar, who had been her neighbor and, like a person who looked out for her for a long time. So I don't know if she's weighing in or anything, but
She's just kind of not shocked, because you did find out that he was Fideli, right?
yes. And also, like, the entire way he ran his shop, he was selling stories about things that were definitely not artifacts, but like it was the story that people were buying. His
Yeah.
entire shop was sort of based upon a grift. So the fact that he's like turned being an assembly person into a way to like enrich himself isn't super surprising, because he did that with sort of everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's a good chance that many people in Flucifer expected him to be at least somewhat corrupt. They just weren't really counting that he would take money from outside of Flucifer.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were expecting a little graft, but like they weren't expecting him to sell them down the river. That's what I'm hearing.
Yep. Like, we might have to grease his palms a little bit to get things done, but the fact that he just kind of reached in here wholesale,
It's not good.
More greased up than a Roman wrestling match.
we should start a league of that here. It could probably be a big draw. Tourism.
All right, so we need to figure out what to do about him as well.
Well, he's already lost his position. The problem is, due to a vote of no confidence, the problem is the person, like, in the running now, the next person who seems like the most likely to win is doing the same thing, slightly less obviously, but being paid out of the same pockets, so the same results are going to happen. Also, he's a total like landlord scumbag who's happy to gouge anyone and everyone he can with tricky contracts and such.
As a longtime resident of Flucifer, Rosa had been told, like, do not rent from Rainer.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that.
What if I wrote a snarky story about him?
That's kind of what Rosa was thinking, because she kind of looks
Yeah.
at Henri and it was just, are you able to write a quick something about this man?
I'm
Destroy
pretty
him.
sure.
To burn this man.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure the city is ripe for an earworm.
It
Wilma
definitely
kinda
is.
looks thoughtful, and she says, "This is a runoff between two people at Flucifer, where the Bear House is. Would the Bear House be willing to sponsor a debate between the two of them?"
Absolutely.
My
Agreed.
understanding is that Rainer is detestable personally, and if many of the residents of Lucifer were to see him speak, it might. She says, we could let his qualities speak for themselves without directly placing our thumb upon the scale.
Yeah.
She says, I'm not opposed to a few ditties going around about Rainer. You certainly earn them.
Mhm.
Could
And
take
I
an
think
existing one and polish it and amplify it.
um
I'm sure there are already some going around.
and Logan kind of laughs. He's like, I also want to keep my thumb off the scale, he says, but I cannot help but be amused by the idea of a chorus made up of his ex-tenants. He says, or at least if they were encouraged to be there and in the front row of the debate.
We'll make sure they get an invite.
See,
Given his heavy reliance on the contracts, we should be pretty able to get a list of people that he has tried to sue into oblivion or litigate into oblivion, and that should make it pretty easy. Plus, his opponent might himself take steps to arrange that if he knows about and accepts the debate. He seems like a very canny person.
Um,
other ideas?
he Logan like looks to Wilma, and Wilma kind of just says, I think I want to give Horst a fighting chance. Says, and I think this will certainly do that. She says, so at this point, whatever we can do to make sure that the debate is well attended.
Free beer.
That does go very far in Freeburg. She says,
Dabble with
perhaps it could
the-
be before the opening night of a new production.
I've been working
And-
on something. I'm sure I can figure it out. I have a couple options. But I mean, the thing I was working on before the plague struck was a little more melancholy, but once the plague struck, it became clear that something more comedic would probably be in order. So I've been working on both.
This is, I look forward to either. Says there is always an appetite in Freeburg for the melancholy. And Logan kind of smiles. He says, I love my people very much. He says, but we are a grim folk.
As an Asuran, it's something we respect.
I think some of the grim is rubbing off.
Wilma kind of smiles and she says, there might be accident circumstances, but grim rubbing off.
Huh.
Um, she she says, "Well, I think we have strategies in regard to everything. The ducks are killing people."
Oh, that was okay.
Oh, was that not what? Oh, okay. I missed.
It was Ruth.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
It was a
Oh.
you did a single ha. Just went huh, at the joke.
I thought it was funny.
It's very in keeping with the grim of the moment.
I will so often respond to something that I find really funny with I'm on the floor, I'm dying, looking at my phone like this.
That's so funny, period.
I've been known to do that too. So, um, is there any other matter to bring before the council? Or the Iron Prince while you have him here.
Gav brings up Diedrich. Actually, no, that's not him to bring it up. That was Girard, wasn't it? Had a thing
Oh,
to do
yeah.
with Diedrich.
Yeah.
The
But he's not here.
prison and-
Never
yeah.
mind.
Have we advised Montague on the circumstances in Montaigne? I do not recall.
Have we had any updates to those circumstances?
Well, I mean, aside from yeah, actually, there probably has. I don't know what reached you to of the fact that Montaigne is now a Porte demon.
Oh,
Says at least the capital.
The-
Charus is
the
a
Inisher coming.
hellscape.
The Inisher coming.
He says, I had understood that there was an invasion happening from Avalon, that the rumors I heard that the queen herself rides at the head of that army, which is a surprise to me. He says, and I do not know the truth of it. He says, coupled with, had he been related, like everything about like the Porte demons and stuff, like I think at this point there are now rumors that are going around everywhere about like, what's going on in Shrews.
I think there's just
But-
crazy stories. I don't think Hans has delivered any news yet.
He
I
says,
mean-
do you have
Honoring came back like, and if everyone's not in the know, like Honoring can come out with it now, but I think everyone should be in the know already.
I think we've told the whole council.
Yeah.
I don't know if I don't know if we directly told Wilma or Logan about it yet.
So if there's like a second catch up, on the entire state of it, it takes a little minute, but he
Yeah, I'm sure it went something
Is-
like Logan's like, I've heard the most unbelievable stories about Montaigne, and Honoring's like, actually, they're not as unbelievable as you think.
says, is there anything that can be done for the people of Shrews?
Evacuation.
Except refugees. I mean, I don't know if we can spare the people to fight an unstoppable force.
Or aid. If we can send aid over there of some kind, they could probably use it as well, even if we're not in a place to accept people.
I think
There are some forces built up in the city trying to preserve it as best as possible, but I mean, even that is a losing battle against.
I think there's every possibility that we can expect a flood of people from Posen lands. People without food and without options, he says, especially those who are not equipped to fight against Posen and her forces, they're likely to come here. Says that doesn't mean that we should turn away refugees from Montaigne. It's a long travel, but that doesn't mean that we would turn them aside. I think we can provide support. The matter of how they get
Coincidence, we
there
have a bunch of
is,
space now.
it says, we do. The entire 10 city has disappeared, he says, and Gav, I believe that you have the debts owed by enough of those people, he says, to significantly expand Feinerhard.
And say, borrowing the amount that I had to borrow to feed the city, because he still got that huge debt.
And he says, rally the people to build, to expand Feinerhard. He says it's on our southern border, so it's the direction that we have to expand regardless. We've already run into river to the and it's true that like part of Freiburg, the part of it that is like the Stone to Wasson and stuff like that, that is like technically in Posen, or it's on the border of Posen. It was granted by the Reifenstahl to Freiburg, but that's the direction she'd be coming from. So
Yeah.
Has anyone told the Nibelungen that it's safe to come up yet?
We're still on like the tail end of it, so I think
Yeah.
probably at some point.
Well, I mean, it's not like they're doing nothing.
This is true.
There's good work to be done in the Dragonizing lines.
He says the Nibelungen have asked for permission to set up the constructions necessary to create some Draconizing items down there directly. It's normally a thing that they accomplish at distance from the city, away from everybody else, in order to preserve their secrecy. But since they have proximity to what they need, and they would have secrecy, I've granted the request.
It was just Ruth remembering that they were down there and was mentioned until it was safe.
I will go and check on them personally very soon. But are there any other matters before us? I think that covers
seems like
everything of
plenty.
immediacy. He nods. He says, hey, I'm not looking for more.
Did they get told about Ruin and the runes stuff? Or is that kind of just on account, just council?
I think that's kind of just been kept on the council's shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we tend to keep them less apprised on the weird shit. Just because,
Yeah.
There's only so much weird shit I'm willing to try to describe to somebody like Logan. Or someone who's eminently practical as Wilma.
Yeah.
Let's see. Wilma looks to Rosa and she says, can you stay afterwards? There's a matter I want to discuss with you.
See, I can.
And Logan kind of like, well, I think we all have some trips to prepare for. He says, matters to get ready.
I'll wait for you outside, love.
Grazie, amore.
And Logan steps off and he catches up with Hans. I'm going to cut to that in just a moment, but Wilma looks to Rosa and she says, with everything that has happened with my mentor within the Daughters of Sophia, I have relayed a message to them relating the deeds that she has been responsible for that I am aware of. Looking for confirmation that they are aware or not of her deeds. Says our structure is normally such that I wouldn't have any other means to communicate with higher ups within that organization. She says, because we try to keep the number of people who know others limited, so as to prevent exposure. She's the one who nominated me to be in charge of Eisen, to represent the daughters here and to look out for women in need here in Freeburg, or here in Eisen. I haven't gotten a response back yet. She says, so I don't know, but given everything that's happened, I wanted you to know that I am taking action on it. She says, I'm trying to work through channels.
Grazie. I know it must be frustrating to have to wait now.
Given that there's been more than one attempt on my life, she reaches into, like, she often carries like a little binder that has, like, you know, orders of business, letters, etc. And she takes out a small letter. She says, if something happens to me, I would like you to open this. Within it is all of the information that I have on her, which is not a lot. She says it's every recollection, it's every insight I've had to who she actually is.
She takes it hesitantly and puts it in her bag. I will. There is something I did want to ask you, though. And I believe it might be a little bit more joyous. After Honorine's reaction, I'm still unsure. Initial reaction. I will change, she says, to initial reaction. I was wondering if, for when I marry Len, if you would give me away.
Luma is not a woman that is like known for like emotional reactions to anything, you know what I'm saying? Or like being tearful. She's not like the hand waving type or anything like that, but her eyes are absolutely bright, you know, and she gets up out of her seat. And this is also not much of a hugger, but she does. She pulls Rosa close and she gives her a hug. She says, I would be delighted. I'd be honored.
Grazie, madre.
She kind of can I share the strangest thing that happened to me?
Of course.
She says Logan asked me to marry him.
That's...
She says, I know it's political. She says it's a matter of protecting the things about him. She says I disabused him of the notion that there was any wisdom to it. She says he will need an heir, and that I am not equipped to give him one any longer. She says, I very much appreciated the thought behind it, but it was a surreal enough conversation I needed to share it.
And you could see Rosa even like trying to do the math of that one, being like, I hope you explained it gently. Idiocracy.
She says, I'm aware of his interests. She says, and the kind of person he prefers to give his attentions to. She says, and I'm also, she says, I have never been particularly driven in that regard myself. She says, I dabbled a few times in curiosity. She says, but I imagined a horrifically awkward night of attempting to conceive.
I believe you would be correct.
She smiles. It's like there's like, and kind of joins in the laughter about it. Like it's a bit of like laughing at herself, like that would be so weird. so awkward for all of us. She
Yeah.
says, but it was charming, and I told him to go find a woman closer to his age.
Yes.
I did put your sister's name forward as well.
I was literally just about to type in chat. Incidentally, Honorine will not be taking any audiences alone with Logan anytime soon.
She says, but he was concerned about asking any member of the council.
Honorine is a choice, but there are many beautiful size-to-size women in the city now that he could easily woo.
This is true. She just kind of smiles and just kind of like breaks into a little giggle again. She's like, wouldn't it just be terrible? It's like she still hasn't quite gotten over it.
She does say, though I do believe that there's only one woman for Honorine's heart.
She nods. She says, I had the thought that with the both of them having the interest that they do, a partnership with an understanding might be to both their benefit.
Possibly.
She and she gets up and like starts to make some more tea, just kind of like intending for like catch a few minutes of like just catching up with Rosa and in the midst of all of it. But I'm gonna like move the camera away. It's just kind of like you're getting to spend some time. And Logan falls into stride with Hans. There was one thing I had for him to talk to Hans about, and I completely blanked as to what it was.
Oh no.
Yay, Adderall. He
I feel like Hans is just muttering about all four of the horse riders now.
and Logan kind of like, I had something to ask you. He says, and then you were walking and your pants were very tight. And he says, it's completely flown my mind.
I would not have thought you so easily distracted.
He says, I suppose it's the fact that you're going to be leaving again so soon that
do not remind me. Ugh. I have to go and put on some idiotic performance for a monster of a woman.
He smiles at that and he says, I've often thought, he says, that even the most monstrous people, he says, have reasons for being the way they are and thinking what they do. He says, and when we can get to the heart of them, he says, we can find the source of them, they're a little bit more understandable. It may not be something that you want to emulate them, he says, but I've never found anyone to do harm without any reason at all.
Who knows? I suppose, I mean, there's always, you are right, you are very correct. There's always some strange motive for everything a person does.
Says even my father, he says right now, he says, I don't know what drives him for this conquest. Says the last Reifenstall is dead. He's not going to prove anything. He doesn't know of your existence. He thinks the line has ended.
Yeah.
He says, and I've never found him to think that he was a particularly good Iron Prince. he he says it's humorous. He says, but he he related it to me. He says that he thought that there were better princes than himself. Maybe not necessarily of secret lands, he says, but men more suited to the role is how he put it.
I'm. He's not wrong. He would make a. He makes a formidable general, but he lacks a. He lacks some of the other skills. Some of the
Diplomacy.
diplomacy chief among them. Yeah,
This is
restraint, personability, even. Unless he is,
stewardship.
and yeah, unless he is so drunk he will not remember whatever diplomatic talks he has.
Oh, that's not true. He says, I've never
Oh.
known my father to forget a thing said while he was drinking. He will claim it.
Oh.
He
Perhaps
says, but
candor is not one of his. What is one of the traits he lacks as well? Then.
he will convince you that he is as honest and forthright as the day is long. It's one of his charms. It's one of his secrets that he presents himself as such a simple creature. He says people forget that he doesn't, that he is a general. He is a strategist. And he approaches conversations as such a thing as well.
I mean, it's a habit hard broken. If you're raised to fight and not much else, then by the time you have any sway over anything of meaning, it is too late to learn. At least it would seem that way for for a great many people.
He says he is he's one of the people I've struggled the hardest with to come to the understanding I just spoke of. Says why they are the way they are, but we have a blind spot when it comes to family. He says, and that was what I realized, he says, that was driving him was his own father. He says, grandfather, I never really met. He says, but I think my father considers himself a kindler and gentler version of that man. An improvement on the Seeger line.
Ooh.
He says, if that tells you anything of my grandfather's reputation.
An improvement is an improvement, I suppose. Silver lining.
He says he kind of like rubs his arms. He says he taught him Eisenfaust, and in the course of the training, he says methodically broke every bone my father had. He says every major bone. He says legs, arms. He says with the purpose that he would heal, he would recover, he would know what it was like to have it broken in the heat of combat.
Ugly and archaic method of teaching, to be sure.
He nods.
That's something I've come to realize. You speak of this understanding that this something I have trouble with the nation as a whole. This understanding the reason why a nation ruled by a nation of territories ruled by these imposing and brutal, they're almost dictators, it would seem, to the outside world. There's no prospect of change to be seen. Everyone is stubborn and eager to hold on to even whatever meager power they can get their hands on. And all for what? What drives this? What drives any any of them beyond the most shallow of things, the power being chief among them.
He says,
How
we,
that became our nation's identity, I may never understand.
he says, I think there was something that we did to ourselves when Draken Eisen became the thing most associated with us. He says, unyielding metal, he says, became the character of our people. And that meant those with power never surrendered it willingly.
Just strive to be as unyielding as the Drakenisen they were, I suppose.
He nods. He kind of dips his head. He says, in a moment of thinking poorly, he says, I proposed to Wilma.
Oh, did you now?
He says, well, she's an incredibly competent administrator. I would have no idea how to run the city without her. She's always been kind to me.
Incredibly valuable woman. She's wonderful.
She's been like a mother to me, and she pointed out that I would not have children by her. He says, and I did not realize until afterwards that that had been part of the draw. He says, my father is not going to have any other children. He says, and if I do not, he says, then Freeburg would need to be ruled by somebody that perhaps the council chose or the people chose.
I have been thinking along a very similar line as of late. Well, I mean, this this burden of a lineage.
He nods.
If not me, then my sister, and if not my sister, then no one.
He kind of smiles and he loops his arm with Hans. He says, let's bequeath everything to Anna and run away together.
No, she would hunt me down to no end. Oh,
he kind of smiles.
And who's teaching her?
Oh, yeah, and Anna would hunt me to no end, and she has been training with Runa, and Runa can see. So Runa's vision is unmatched only by the gods, perhaps. Oh.
He smiles and he says, it was an idle daydream.
The thought has not crossed my. The thought has crossed my mind a few times over the years.
He nods.
Disappear into some forest or the mountains, a small cabin.
He says, when Trog asked me to be his sage, I thought it was a dream come true. He says, I could use all of the things that I had learned to advise somebody who ended up not needing any advising, as he never made any decisions. He says, but also, he says, I could spend my time studying philosophy. He says, thinking. He says, and not being in power. He says, not being responsible for all the things that my father had made me dread.
Such a bizarre way of life. To be trained to dread the thing you will one day inherit.
He says, I don't think I will ever understand those who crave it.
No. Never. Perhaps to some. For some, I would go as far as to say it is some strange affliction of the mind, perhaps.
He kind of smiles and he says, I know you have a great deal to do, he says, but do you have time perhaps for me to drag you back to the apartment?
anything that is not planning for this.
He kind
I will
of
gladly
smiles.
take any distraction at this point.
Oh, he says, I can be very distracting.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
And we're gonna cut from there over to Runa, who I think in the no pun intended, in the wake of the meeting, going to the boat. um, and gets led into Geralt's shop since like the entryway to his little like private cove is there. Um, and he had been at the funeral, but it's also kind of like the first time he's really seen her since then. And so when she comes in, he just kind of steps from around the counter. Um, it's a little awkward, like he's not really sure if like they're on terms where he can just walk up and hug her. Does that make sense?
She sees his hesitation and just kind of cowered and pulls him
laughs.
into a hug.
Uh, he squeezes her and he's like, look, I have faced down rooms full of 10-second death beetles. He says, daughters are another thing entirely.
I mean, especially when they wield lightning.
Says, especially when I haven't been there for most of your life.
That's not your fault. Well,
We can say that there were characteristics of my personality that were contributing.
and I guess I had to find you. Thanks for that. She's like totally fucking with him, but like he can probably tell that she needs this.
He says, thank you for finding me.
You're welcome, I guess. Good to know you.
Yeah. Just kind of like squeezes her hard against his chest.
She hugs him really tight, like she needed this hug.
And he doesn't break from it. Like he just holds on to her. She can tell that like a lot of the way that he related to Ingvild through everything was that like sometimes communication failed and it was just like speaking what needed to be said with touch and with appreciation of somebody.
Mm-hmm.
He and he just kind of like runs a hand up and down her back, like not breaking anything until she's ready to pull away.
She eventually does break away from the hug. Well, like break, you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. He says, your mother and Gris and Jared are up here working on the ship.
I guess I should go make sure that it's still in working order. Although
I'm pretty sure if
I
anybody's
guess.
qualified to make sure it is, those three are, he says, but
I'm aware.
it's been nice seeing them together.
Ruth can't tell if he's talking about Ingvild and Gris or just like the whole.
He is talking about Ingvild and Gris as he knows that they're together, even if Runa is still a little like
He's caught on by now.
Okay, yeah.
They've been in her home. I agree.
He says, you never told me how everything went with getting her back.
Wow.
Do I need to open a cask?
It happened really fast. I went to check, see how things were going. The ship was on fire, had holes in it. Had to get her out of there quick.
What happened to it? Was there
A Vadachi ship, I believe. That's correct, right?
Hmm.
It was a
Um,
Vadachi ship?
yeah. He says, "Did you catch the name, the figurehead?" Which she didn't in the midst of everything.
No.
All we got was that it was a ship of the line, right?
Mhm.
Is that what it was called? Their fleet?
Yeah, a ship of the
It
line
was
is
too
like
far, it was too far away from for us to actually like get a good look at it. It's just it was raining.
Yeah, it was shooting at us a whole bunch. Or you guys.
he says, so no idea who was responsible.
No.
Says I don't suppose your vision can look back in on it.
Not the past, no. It has to be happening actively. But I wasn't going to waste another second checking in on that.
He says, I'm trying to think of the number of ships that I can even think of that would be willing to go into Crescent Lands and open fire on Kiraden.
What family was it? I don't know. Because she did know that there was.
There is one family that has authority to trade with the Crescents. They're actually the least likely to have opened fire on
no,
even
because I forgot the exact details, so that really clears it up.
And he says Kiraden is he says the reason he is so feared is because he's been cut down before and he returns. He says, and he is known for his vengefulness. He's been willing to pursue ships that open fire well into Vadachi waters.
I did see it.
So let me I had mentioned that there were like many of the other people that were in chains and stuff like that could possibly have been former crew of the Revenge that were with Gris, but like kind of like minor folks that like were brought on late, or you know what I'm saying? Like they weren't part of the core family that like Ingold had assembled. And they'd been diving for rescue and or to get off the ship, which means that either they drowned, they ended up in Crescent Land somewhere, or they could possibly have been taken aboard the ship that caved. If you would like, I can have her make a um, I'll accept any, or I'll accept a suggestion as far as a skill to go with it. Actually, no, I think actually her captain skill would be appropriate. Wits and captain to remember some of those faces in enough detail that she could use her ability to project and look.
We'll do that.
There, I mean, you are now an avatar of Gateway, so
So Wits and Captain. Yep.
yep.
27.
So she's gonna only like it's not that she doesn't remember more than one face, it's just that there are a few faces of when she tries to look, she doesn't get anything, right? But there's one of them that was a relatively like newer addition to the crew that when she finds a face and she finds him, he's no longer in like slave clothing. It looks like he's gotten some sort of makeshift sailor clothes and whatnot. And he's on the ship of the line that came to the rescue. And she has the sort of opportunity to like pan the camera to look around to see who else is aboard. She gets she sees the ship itself and its figurehead, and she sees the man at the wheel of the ship, who is he's very handsome, bright-eyed. He looks to be in his like late 30s, definitely like a veteran captain of some kind. And the first mate who steps up like to speak to him as Rona is looking, she kind of seems to like she looks around like her hackles are going up or something like that, and Runa watches her eyes turn completely black as she like looks around, drawing on Sorte, um, as if she's trying to look for whatever mystical feeling she's feeling, which is not uncommon for Runa when she's like gatewaying on people. Does that make sense? She doesn't actually like see Runa, but Runa kind of like watches like the interplay of conversation between the two of them as the captain looks at her. He's like, "What is it?" She's like, "Just a feeling." Uh,
Yes,
and
just a feeling.
um, and she says, "I thought I felt it before during the fighting, or just before it actually." Um, and he nods in understanding. Um, he says, "Well, says we're almost to safer waters now." Says we'll get paid and hopefully leave all of this strangeness behind us. And as she can like stay somewhere like near indefinitely, you know what I'm saying? But she sees the crews just kind of going about business. There's probably a little bit of like, wow, like ship of the lines work very, very differently than long ships do. But she is able to like back out enough that she can get a look at the ship, its crew, the name of it. It is a Vidachi ship. And let's see. The ship is named the Santa Celia. And the figurehead is a beautiful Vidachi woman who's a saint. Like there's a little bit more meaning to it than that, but like Runa doesn't necessarily know what it is. Um, so, but she kind of comes back to the moment with Geralt.
And relays the information she got to him.
He says, "The Santa Celia." Says, "I know it's Captain." Says, "Sebastian Scogna is his name." Says, "And I have no idea what he'd be doing in Crescent Waters."
Well, sounds like a job, probably.
He says,
Did mention getting paid.
the jobs he's known for is getting Vidachi women in dangerous situations to safe harbor. Says, going into Crescent Lands, he says, and opening fire on such a notorious pirate is definitely something he would have had to be encouraged to do.
And he didn't seem like it was ideal to be doing it.
He nods. He kind of looks thoughtful. He says, "I might be able to get a message to him." if you wish me to.
Why? This is a Ruth problem.
He says he acted, he says, against them. He says, at a time, he kind of shakes his head. He says, I don't know. He says, it all just strikes me as strange coincidence. And I've never found strange coincidences to be much coincidence.
Well, then look into it.
He gives the nod. And Ingvild kind of appears in the doorway with like a hammer in hand, and she says, are you coming in here to help or not?
I have been planning on it, but this guy's been keeping me.
She says, I know, he's so distracting.
Right?
She says, rude even, yeah. You're all
Sometimes
just
it may seem that way.
and she turns and kind of like heads back towards the revenge, and here he says, I'll order some lunch. And I'm gonna bring the curtain down there with her going in to assist. I love the chat was like cat there at the end.
There was a little alley tail going like a shark
Yeah,
fin.
yeah, that's how she do.
Yeah.
She just crosses back and forth. She just wants a pet, and then she went back to mom. So, okay, so RP nominations. We'd like 2, please.
Rosa.
Rosa and
Hans.
Hans.
Yeah, I'm gonna go fans on this one.
I'm good with that. All right, so we're gonna do 3 XP plus drama, plus RP rewards, and
No, sorry.
I just want to, producer, do we have game next week or?
Yes. Our next
Okay.
week is July 3rd. Or July
Okay, great.
5th. Or I think thereabouts.
Okay.
Sometime around all the July holidays.
July 5th, so the day after the 4th.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
All right.
you know,
Math.
that does come after 4.
Math. Counting. The man can
Yeah.
count.
All right. Let me read us out real quick. Because why would I have that open when I'm about to do that? All right. Thank you, everyone watching us on YouTube or live on Twitch. Audience participation always means the world to us. And if you're on YouTube, smash the like, hit the subscribe, and make a comment in the down below. Here at Dirty 20, we always send out with the same call to action. Be nice. Be kind when you have the spoons, but even when you don't, be nice. Be nice to strangers, be nice to family, be nice to your loved ones, and most importantly, be nice to yourself. Thank you for coming on this journey with us, and we will see you next week. So.
Good night.
Good night.
So-
Bye.